Wow, so here we are, the very first training of the Experience Product Masterclass. Time to get in the saddle and dash off into the sunset. Well, not quite. First, we gotta train the horse. And that's what this first series of videos on reverse engineering your success are all about, pointing your horse in the right direction. I call this the Show Me the Money video because you can't be in business without money. And in this training, we're gonna set some clear minimum, target, and stretch revenue goals for your first lucrative experience product. And I'm gonna talk about that in just a moment. But first, I wanna address the question of money because it's a big sticking point for a lot of entrepreneurs. For most of my customers, money may not be your top motivation. It may not even be one of your top 3 motivations. It's not for me, and yet we all still need to make money if we're gonna have the impact and lifestyle we desire. On the screen, you can see the motivation matrix. These are 13 of the most common motivations that Harvard Business School identified through a survey of over 2,000 entrepreneurs. Men and women just like you in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, to identify why they started businesses and what they want out of being an entrepreneur. They discovered that the number one motivation for all entrepreneurs, regardless of age and gender, was autonomy, or the freedom to be the master of your own time and creator of your destiny, which interestingly is the exact opposite of non-entrepreneurs who value security. So my guess is that you want the freedom to build your business and your experience product your way, in a way that feels good to you and is an expression of who you are and the gifts you bring to the world. And we'll be talking more about that in the next video when we define what kind of product to create first. But let's focus on the money here first, because in order to make the money you need to create the lifestyle you desire, you have to serve your market in a way they want, need, and are willing to pay for. It's the difference between showing up at a party and saying, "Here I am," versus showing up and saying, "There you are." I know that's a radical thought in our selfie-obsessed world, and experience products are all about taking a customer-first approach. And focusing on your customers first doesn't have to compromise your ideals, though it does mean listening to something other than your own inner guidance. It means listening to your customers. As Zig Ziglar says, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. And I always say that before you can make money while you sleep, you have to be able to make money while you're awake. And that means having real conversations with real people, the kind of people who are going to pull out their wallets and buy from you. I share this to set the stage for what you may be feeling as we have this conversation. I find that many entrepreneurs are allergic to setting goals because goals can feel like the opposite of autonomy, because you're committing to something, and commitment in our society is painted as the opposite of freedom. So I want you to meet X. And she has 4 unpublished books and dozens of workshop and product ideas. She started a weekly podcast and wants to start doing monthly webinars as a marketing tool. She's busy creating a lot of stuff, but she's not making much money and her work isn't getting seen. She's not making an impact with her creations. So X's top motivation is variety. And because she's driven by variety, she's driven to just create and create and create without really taking the time to get her work out into the world. And this is what X told me when I asked her if that was really the best approach in her business. She said, if I didn't need to run a business to earn money, I wouldn't, even though I'd spend my time working on many of the same projects. And if I didn't have so much content to share, I wouldn't keep being tempted to run a business in order to do that. Now, when I read this email from my student X, my heart just sank because I thought this is precisely the reason why she's spinning her wheels without seeing the success that she wants. Because here's the thing. She needs to earn money in order to make the impact that she wants, because she also has the desire to get her products and ideas seen by a lot of people so they can benefit from her work. And if she's not charging money and marketing in the right ways and focusing on bringing a specific idea to market, she can't do that. So as long as she feels like she doesn't want to make a business happen, she just wants to focus on her idea, she's going to stay in this cycle of struggling and struggling and struggling without seeing any kind of reward. So here's the thing. The more that you earn, the more you can give. And the more people pay, the more they can receive. If people aren't paying for your work, chances are they don't truly value what it is that you do, and they're not fully committed in doing the work and getting the transformation that you provide. That's why it's so important that you made this investment to be part of the master class, because by investing $2,000, you're now inspired to earn $2,000 or more in your business over the next 8 weeks. Because you've invested it in someone else, other people are more likely to invest it in you because you've put your money where your mouth is. So I'm not going to get all personal development on you, but there's a series of stages that every human goes through as they pass from child to adult. And when we're children, we focus on taking. We take what we want. We take food. We take everything that we need to survive. And as we grow into adolescence, we start to shift our focus to achieving. We want to achieve and be the best that we can be. And at a certain point in time in our lives, most people shift to giving. They realize that they've achieved a lot and it's not satisfying. So they want to give. They want to be of service. And many of you in this program are at that point of giving and being of service. And at some point in time, you realize that in order to continue to give, you've got to be able to receive. So you're not like the giving tree that gives so much that it has nothing left to give. So the more you receive, the more you can give, and the more both you and your customers get into the upward spiral of growth. Marketing and sales complete the cycle of giving and receiving that allows you to make the biggest possible impact in the world and allows you to have the lifestyle you desire, which fills your tanks and allows you to give even more. What I've realized in my entrepreneurial journey, and I used to be an artist, I used to be a documentary filmmaker making $50,000 a year. And just 5 years later, we're about to hit the $2 million mark in our business. And I never thought that I was going to be the kind of person who could make this kind of money because I never really valued money. I valued creativity. I valued impact. I valued intellectual challenge. I valued autonomy and variety and altruism and making a difference, but I didn't value money. But what I realized along the way is that commitments and goals and structures actually create freedom. So let me tell you a story. One of my favorite short stories of all time is by a Hungarian writer named Iles Achinger, and it's called The Bound Man. And it's all about this circus performer who performs just wrapped up in ropes. From head to toe, he's wrapped up in ropes. And he's got this amazing agility and grace. He can do acrobatics and bend and twist and flip and do all kinds of things that just has his audience in awe and wonder at his grace and his agility. And then at a certain point in time, the bound man begins to wonder, well, if I'm this agile and this graceful, all bound up in ropes, I wonder what it would be like for me if I didn't have these ropes. So he puts a knife in his teeth and he heads down to the river. And he cuts himself free of the ropes that had bound him for the last few years in his career. And then the next time he tries to perform and flip and dance like he had before, he lost all his grace and agility. And he realized that it was the ropes, it was the constraints that gave him the freedom to perform the way he performed and gave him the grace and really made him into the incredible performer that he was. Now, Franz Kafka, another one of my favorite writers, read this story by Iles Achinger and wrote this 20-page analysis of this story. And in that analysis, he wrote this quote, "To have the feeling of being bound and at the same time the other, yet to know if one were unbound, it would be far worse." Now that's Franz Kafka speaking, and Franz Kafka wasn't exactly the most cheery guy on the planet, but the general sentiment here is that often commitments, goals, and structure create an agility and a grace that isn't possible to attain without defining what it is that you're moving towards. And as you saw in our video sequence leading into this program, the brain loves to win. And in order to release the powerful cocktail of happy chemicals, your brain needs to know what the game actually is. What are the goals? What are the rules? What are the expectations? And how can I know if I'm achieving them or not? So here we go. Let's talk about your 10-week product revenue goals and what you can expect to earn from this program and when. Because it's my goal to help you put the money you invested in this program back into your pocket as soon as possible. So I'm going to start off by saying something that may sound a little bit counterintuitive and a little bit controversial. Reaching for the stars sucks. So many people put their goals so far up into the atmosphere that it's impossible for them to reach anytime soon. Now, while that may seem like a good idea because you want to set your sights high and try to reach it, the problem is what happens when you fail. And what happens when you're constantly putting your goals so far outside of your reach that you never really achieve them is you start to feel like you might want to give up. You start to feel like you're not making the progress that you desire. You're not achieving your expectations, and you're not setting the brain up to win. You're not working with the natural reward structure in your brain because you're constantly falling short of your expectations. And when you do that, the brain blocks the release of these happy chemicals, and you start to feel frustrated, overwhelmed, stuck, like you want to procrastinate, walk away, or even give up. And that's no good, no bueno whatsoever. So instead, if you're driving on the highway, you'll often notice that there's a minimum speed limit and a target speed limit. And then for some of you, you're habitual speeders. You're always breaking the speed limit, but not so much that you're gonna get caught, ideally, right? And when it comes to goals and aspirations for your business, I also recommend that you have a minimum goal, a target goal, and a stretch goal. So a minimum goal allows you to feel like, okay, if I just hit this goal, then I've achieved something. I've done something that I set out to be. I've done something that I've set out to do. And that allows you to feel like you're moving towards your expectations. And at the same time, you don't want to be limited by your minimum goal. Your minimum goal is what's enough, what's going to cover your basic costs, for example, because you've got to hit what's enough before you can get to what's truly extraordinary. And this moves you instantaneously from being in a place of failure because you didn't hit your stretch goals to being in a place of success very quickly. And from there, you can snowball that first success into greater and greater levels of success. So the next goal that you want to set is your target goal, something that may be a bit of a stretch, but is possible to achieve. You think with a lot of work, a lot of diligence, that you may be able to achieve this. And your target goal allows you to elevate from the basic minimum you need to survive into something that's one step higher. And from there, you can set a stretch goal that's one step higher still. Now, this is the reaching for the stars goal, but the reaching for the stars goal can't be the only goal, or you're going to set yourself up for failure, and you're never going to be able to activate and release those happy chemicals in your brain, which are so powerful to keep you motivated and moving in the right direction because you feel like you're making progress. The brain loves to win. So let me give you an example of minimum, target, and stretch goals. I've got the desire next year to write a book called Experience This, all about experience products and experience businesses. Now, my minimum goal next year for the book is finishing the book, just simply finishing it and releasing it to my list next year. Now, can you agree that simply writing a book and finishing it and getting it out to my audience is a big achievement? Yes or no? Absolutely. Not a lot of people in this world write and finish a book. So finishing a book is a huge achievement. And if I were so fixated on my stretch goal, I wouldn't realize and have the opportunity to celebrate the success of simply finishing the book, which is going to fuel me to go to my target goal and ultimately my stretch goal. So my target goal is publishing an Amazon #1 best-selling book next year and using that book as what's called a precipitory event to grow my list and launch a product, ideally to relaunch this product next year. Now, I think I can achieve that goal. I really do. So that's my target goal. I do know it's going to take some work. I'm going to have to go outside of my comfort zone because I've never created a book campaign before, but I think I can hit that. Now, the stretch goal really is reaching for the stars. And that is, in my lifetime, I have the desire to become a New York Times bestselling author. I want to be represented by a top publishing house, and I want to be featured on at least 3 major television shows. Now, I realize that the stretch goal may not happen with my first book. Maybe it's something that happens with my second book or my third book. I don't know. But if I were trying to put the stretch goal as my goal right now when I've never even written a book before, I would probably fall short, get stuck, and get frustrated. And I don't want that to happen. So the thing is that's really interesting is that in order to reach my stretch goal, it may not happen today. Like I said, it may happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but I need to hit my minimum and my target goals first because those are stepping stones to my stretch goal that allow me to get into action and start to create momentum that probably will one day get me to the stretch goal. But without moving towards my minimum goals first and my target goals first, I wouldn't get there. That's why minimum, target, and stretch goals are so powerful and why I really recommend that you do it. As Voltaire famously said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And the next 8 weeks is about implementation to get something to market that's not going to be the ultimate stretch goal experience product that you end up creating, but that's going to allow you to get your feet wet, to get into motion, to see how the market responds, to fine tune and iterate your way to awesome. So the next time you release this product, it's going to be even more lucrative and even more impactful for your audience. And it all starts with hitting those minimum goals. So let me give you an example from my year-long mentorship program. I released this program at our event last February, and I had a minimum goal of 30 new mentorship students, which was about 5 students more than the last time I had released this program. My target goal was 40 new students, and my stretch goal was 50 new mentorship students. So I really held for 50 students. I really held for my stretch goal. And I was actually amazed that I exceeded my stretch goal and I had 62 new mentorship students. But if I had gone into this with the desire to create 62 new mentorship students, I may have been paralyzed in fear and not even gotten started, and I never would have been able to exceed my stretch goals in the way that I actually did. So a lot of times by having this more realistic goal structure of minimum, target, and stretch, it makes the process a little bit less intimidating and allows you to get into action where you may have spent a lot more time preparing if you were going for your stretch goals right out of the gate. So simply by getting into action, you create that momentum that oftentimes can bring you to your minimum goals, beyond them to your target goals, and even exceed those and hit your stretch goal and beyond. But what happens for most entrepreneurs is they see squirrel, squirrel, squirrel everywhere. And that causes them to constantly get distracted, to set new goals for themselves and to chase new shiny objects rather than to stay the course, hit their minimum, then go for their target, then move towards the stretch goal. So I want you to transform bad squirrel into good squirrel, where you're gathering your nuts for the winter and preparing your business for the next stage that you're going to get to simply by releasing your product to the world. And it all starts with defining what I call your monthly nut. Now, your monthly nut is the fixed monthly expenses that you have. Now, this is not the ideal monthly nut or your ideal lifestyle. This is basically the costs that you have right now, the hard costs that you have every single month that you need to cover in order to survive. And that usually includes how much you're spending per month on rent and utilities, on food, on car, on insurance, on any kind of team and support that you've got, whether it's a virtual assistant or simply a babysitter or a housekeeper, the support that you need to keep your life going and perhaps even your business going. This also includes subscriptions, technologies that you need to keep your business going, such as Infusionsoft or Aweber or your email service provider, whatever it happens to be. A lot of times subscriptions cost some money just to keep the lights on and do the basic functions in your business. So what I want you to do is pause this video right now and really calculate your monthly nut. What are the hard costs that you have month after month after month that you really need to cover through your business? A lot of times when people set revenue goals for themselves, they're like, I want to make $100,000 in the next month. They're not really grounded based on anything. And I think the most important goal to move towards first is simply to cover your expenses in your business. And that's the place to start, right? You want to understand what your expenses are and how much money you need to bring in simply to cover those expenses. Now, once you've done that, it's time to set your minimum, your target, and your stretch goal for this program simply for the next 8 weeks. Not for the next year, not for the lifespan of this experience product, but for the next 8 weeks as you get something to market just to test it out, see how it works, earn while you learn, and iterate your way to awesome. So if you're a newbie, if you're new to business and have not made money in your business before, I actually want you to set this very specific minimum, target, and stretch goal for yourself. The minimum goal that I want you to achieve in the next 10 weeks as you bring your first lucrative experience product to market is simply $2,000. It's the amount of money you invested in this program. Now you can set as a target $2,500 and a stretch goal of $3,000. And I want you to remember that simply hitting your minimum goal is a massive accomplishment. The jump from making no money to making some money in your business is the single biggest jump that you will ever make in your business. Because that means getting outside of your comfort zone, taking actions that you've never had, coming up with something that not only you find valuable, but your market finds valuable, and really getting into conversation with potential customers who are able to say yes to working with you. So simply making $2,000 in your business if you're starting from scratch is a massive achievement. And that first $2,000 becomes the next $2,000, the next $2,000, the next $2,000, and before you know it, you might be at $20,000, then $200,000, then $2 million. That's what happened for me, and that's what's possible for you too when you start out with a clear and achievable minimum goal that you know you can make happen in this 10-week period, rather than getting hung up on the perfect product and really dragging your feet and taking months to get this product to market. Now, if this is your first product, but you have made money in your business before, perhaps through coaching, through consulting, through service packages, or something else, then I still want you to keep your minimum goal at $2,000 because this is your first product. You want to cover your investment in this program, so $2,000 is your minimum, and it's going to allow you to get started. So for your target goal, I want you to put in half your monthly nut, whether that's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, whatever that monthly nut is, put in half that monthly nut here for your target goal. If you can, through the very first product you create, supplement your existing revenue and cover half your monthly nut, you're doing awesome. That's amazing. And I want you to put as your stretch goal your entire monthly nut, to really cover your expenses, your hard expenses that are fixed from month to month with this product. Now that's a huge accomplishment for anyone to do. So put that in as your stretch goal. Now, if you've already successfully created and sold a product before, I want you to put the new minimum at $2,000. And I want to put your target goal at your monthly nut. Now that's a huge accomplishment, like I said, to cover your monthly nut, your fixed expenses each month with a product. And because you've already created products before successfully, this is achievable for you. And as your stretch goal, I want you to put double your monthly nut. Now, this is a very successful product if you can cover double your monthly nut with your product. But this is a stretch goal. You're probably not going to get there in the next 8 weeks. We want to be realistic. We want to, at very minimum, cover your investment in this program so you can get started powerfully and not try to go into perfectionist mode and create your masterpiece out of the gate. Because remember, the marketplace right now does not want war and peace. The market wants cliff notes. The market wants the minimum viable product, the least amount of information to help them get to their goal while still maintaining the future self vision and the mission and emotionally involving them, like I'm involving you here through the stories and things that I'm sharing as I train. Sound good? So there are a lot of ways to get to $2,000. You could sell 43 of a $47 product. You could sell 30 of a $67 product, 21 of a $97 product, 14 of a $147 product, 10 of a $197 product, 7 of a $297 product, 4 of a $497 product, just 3 of a $697 product, and 2 of a $997 product, or 1 product at $2,000. Now, I'm not going to ask you to choose the price point of your product yet, because in the next video, we're going to talk about what is the right product for you at this time in your business. How can you choose the right product for the right market at the right time? And the kind of product you choose is going to dictate your price point. So we can't get to price of your product until we understand the kind of product that you're going to choose. For now, in this video, all I want you to do is determine your monthly nut and then choose your minimum target and stretch goal for the next 10 weeks in the Experience Product Masterclass. If you're a total newbie and haven't made money in your business before, I've already given you your stretch goals. And if this is your first product or you've already created a successful product before, I gave you the formula for calculating your minimum target and stretch goal. So that's your big win for this particular video. You've already received 1 experience point for completing this video, and you'll receive 2 more when you complete this homework. I'd love you to post in the Facebook group what your minimum target and stretch goals are when you introduce yourself. Congratulations again for joining us in the Experience Product Masterclass. I really look forward to getting to know you, and I cannot wait to see your lucrative experience product 10 weeks from now in the marketplace, getting customers and making money. So the important thing to remember is start with trying to achieve your minimum goals. Don't set yourself up for failure by reaching for the stars right out of the gate. Let's take a grounded and realistic approach so you can get into action without triggering the fear and overwhelm that comes from setting goals that feel impossible for you to achieve at this moment in your business. And I can promise you that very, very soon, you will be achieving those reach for the stars goals. You've got to start somewhere. You've got to start with what you can do right now. Get into action, earn while you learn, and iterate your way to awesome. Now go out there and live your message.